Hey everyone, I'm Mariana. This is Impression Blend, and I have not done a Q&A in a pretty long time. The last one I did that was kind of like a Q&A was my reacting to your assumptions video. I will have a playlist of all of my previous Q&As and similar type of discussion videos in the info box below, as always. But a proper Q&A, that hasn't happened in a very long time. So I asked you guys on Instagram to ask me some questions, and you guys asked some really good ones. I'm very excited to talk about everything that you wanted to know about as much as I can. Of course, there were a lot of questions, so I will get to as many as possible. And if I don't answer a question, it's nothing personal. Maybe I've answered it in my previous Q&As. Maybe it was just that my video was getting a little bit too long. So I hope you're comfortable, because you know these Q&A videos tend to be a little bit on the longer side. If you're not comfortable, make yourself comfortable. Grab a snack, grab a coffee or a tea or whatever you would like, and let's get started with these questions. I have my phone with all of your questions on it. Let's take a look. To get things going, just a simple question. How are you doing during the ongoing pandemic? A few of you asked me how I'm doing in general, how I'm handling all of this, which thank you guys. You're very nice. Not a simple question, really. As you all know, this is a pretty weird and difficult time, but I think I'm doing all right considering everything that's going on, and it's definitely gotten a little bit easier than it was in the beginning. I think quite a few people have gone through a few stages of this where they were okay, then they were hopeful, then they were not okay, then they were really not okay, and then they kind of accepted their reality, and we're all just trying to learn patience and trying to take it one day at a time and do what we can. But yeah, I'm okay. I hope you guys are okay as well, and I hope you're staying safe and sane, and just, we're gonna get through this. I just want you to know, if you're concerned about this, wherever you are, we're going to get through this. It is not something that's going to last forever, even though it might feel that way right now. Kind of along the same lines with everything that's going on in the world, will you be watching Tenet in theaters if it's released on September 3rd? And there was a question earlier here about my general views on returning to theaters. I will not be watching Tenet in theaters if it's indeed released on September 3rd. It is less than a month away, and I have absolutely zero confidence in movie theaters being able to handle this and not make it a complete mess. I mean, we all saw that Regal video. Well, if you haven't seen it, I will link it, where they excitedly tell you how they're gonna clean really well, which is something they're supposed to be doing anyways. But, you know, the virus is airborne. What's your cleaning going to do? And I'm saying this as someone who lives in a state where things are pretty okay compared to a lot of other states. I live in Illinois, so it probably wouldn't be as bad going to a theater here than it would somewhere else, but I can't risk it. I don't want this plague. My family doesn't want this plague, and I don't want to contribute to spreading this around. Honestly, and I say this obviously as somebody who loves movie theaters and who really misses movie theaters, but this should be the last of our concerns right now. There are bigger issues, and we need to come together and not, you know, make this a bigger mess than what it already is. Now, do I believe they're actually going to release Tenet on September 3rd? I don't even think so. If they do, I'm going to be surprised, and I'm going to be really freaking bummed out that I'm going to miss a Christopher Nolan film on the big screen. But, you know, this is real life right now. Basically, the bottom line is, no, I don't think movie theaters should be open anytime within the next couple months. And if they do open, no, I will not be going, and I strongly recommend you don't go as well. On that positive note, this video is going really well already. Let's turn things around a little bit and talk about actual more positive things. Do you feel the current pandemic has accentuated the importance of the role of cinema in the world? I can't speak for the rest of the world, obviously, but cinema has always been one of the ways to kind of escape reality and to think about things that might be bigger than yourself and bigger than your current problems. So I feel like the natural answer to that has to be yes, especially since there was a point for a while where nothing interesting was getting released, because I think theaters were hoping that they were going to reopen. Things weren't really going to VOD that were all that exciting, and it was pretty grim for a while. I wanted to watch things that were interesting and new and see something exciting, and granted, there are so many films that I haven't seen, so I've been doing that. But I definitely felt that lack of new, exciting cinema and new, exciting voices and stories that I would normally get at this point from theaters. And I'm sure I'm not the only one who feels that way. Have you seen Mad Men? And if so, what do you think? I feel like I've talked about Mad Men before, but we're going to talk about it anyways. I have tried to finish Mad Men a few times. I've started it twice, and I've gotten pretty far into it. The first time I watched it, I probably got through 3 seasons, and then I kind of tried to continue. Then I felt like I didn't remember stuff, so I started over. I think all in all, I stopped somewhere during season 5. I think it was season 5. The issue is, even though I really love the quality and I think the characters are interesting and the acting is obviously great, for some reason, I just get bored with it. I just lose my patience and I want to watch something else. And I think, okay, I'm going to switch to something else and then I'll come back to Mad Men. And then I never do because I don't miss it. So it's kind of a weird situation where, yes, I absolutely think the show is great, but it just doesn't hold my attention like other shows do. And I'm kind of done trying to force it on myself because there are actual things that I do want to watch and finish. Have you ever considered doing a video dedicated entirely to the whole work of a director or writer? Yes, absolutely. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Do you ever think about doing long-form reviews in style of video essays similar to others on YouTube? So first things first, I never want to copy anybody's style. That is something I have never had an interest in doing, and I've always wanted to find my own voice and my own path. Now, as far as long-form reviews, I have played around with more video essay style reviews, and I actually really enjoyed those. I definitely want to do more of them. But I find that I am not the biggest fan of essays that go on and on. I prefer video essays to be more or less concise. I'm talking 15 minutes max, maybe a few more, but definitely under 20. And as someone who strives to make content that I myself will watch, because if I don't like the content I'm making, then how can I expect someone else to like it? It's just that I rarely have interest in watching video essays that are longer than 20 minutes. I do still watch longer videos, but when it particularly comes to video essays, I just feel like once they get past that 15-minute mark, it's just kind of saying the same thing, but with more words. So yes to essays, but no to really long essays for me. Do you own The Sixth Sense on Blu-ray? I haven't seen it in any of your collection videos. That's kind of funny because I thought I owned The Sixth Sense, and then I went to watch it one day and I realized that I don't own it. I don't know how that happened. I was so sure I had it. So I do own it now. I bought it because I realized I didn't have it. But yes, you're right. It wasn't in any of my collection videos because I didn't have it for some reason. Don't know how that happened. Who is your second favorite director today? This person knows what's up. They know my favorite director. My second favorite director working today, probably Christopher Nolan. I think so. I'm very torn because the first person who came to mind was Christopher Nolan, but then I'm thinking, oh, but maybe it's Quentin Tarantino or David Fincher or maybe even Damien Chazelle. But no, I think I'm going to go with Christopher Nolan because if Christopher Nolan has a movie out, the excitement is real. Besides The Omen, what is the scariest movie you have ever seen? I would probably say The Wailing. Yeah. The Wailing really freaked me out because I still think about it in horror sometimes. There are just so many layers to this film and so many turns in it that your brain kind of catches on to something there and you just keep thinking about it and you keep replaying things in your mind, and it really sticks with you. So I think that would be one. Also, I remember when I first saw The Conjuring, I was really disturbed by that film. I don't know what it is about it, but it really freaked me out. I saw it in theaters, and for a while, just seeing screenshots of that film would just give me chills. Don't know what happened. It really bothered me. I love The Conjuring, by the way. Out of all the filmmaking fields, what would you say is your favorite? Acting, directing, etc.? That is difficult. I mean, directing seems to be like an easy answer because it can encompass so much, but every single element of the filmmaking process is incredibly important. So it's hard to single something out. I might have to go with cinematography. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with cinematography because the visual component of filmmaking is so incredibly important. And if you notice, a lot of the films with standout cinematography work always stick with you for years and years. The visual impact and the visual storytelling is just so strong because, yes, the director is part of that too, but when you're watching a Deakins film, you're watching a Deakins film. Favorite book to film adaptation? Probably The Shining? Wait, what am I saying? The Shining. The Lord of the Rings, of course. What am I even thinking of? Although The Shining would have to be a close second because I do think it's a brilliant adaptation. Inception or Interstellar? Are you trying to kill me here? God, I don't know. I think emotionally, I would absolutely go with Interstellar because that film just speaks to me so much. But I do believe Inception is a better movie, if that makes sense. But I love them both pretty much equally. I absolutely love both of these films. So that's a really tough question. Favorite film of 2020 so far? And there were other questions I saw about what are my top three? What are some of my favorite films of 2020 so far? So my top three at the moment are The Five Bloods, Palm Springs, and Corpus Christi. Now, I made a video about Palm Springs talking all about how that is probably my favorite film of the year so far because there has been much going on and that film was just so much fun and so different. And then as soon as I made that video, I watched Corpus Christi, which technically is a 2019 film, but it did not come out in the US until early 2020, so I'm counting that as 2020, and it is fantastic. I think I need to do a separate review on it because I was blown away by that one. It is so good. It was one of the films nominated for Best International Feature at the Oscars, and it definitely deserved the nomination, but obviously we had Parasite and nothing else had a chance. But yeah, Corpus Christi, my favorite film of the year, by far at the moment. How do you like Stanley Kubrick's movies? I am a fan of Stanley Kubrick. That is undeniable. I need to watch more of his films because I have not seen every single one, but from what I've seen, they are fantastic and they always leave me with a lot to think about. What's the first movie you want to see in theaters once they reopen? At this point, I just hope that they can reopen safely in the foreseeable future, so I will take pretty much anything. But if we're fantasizing, wouldn't it be great to just have your first film in theaters be Dune? What's your favorite Neil Gaiman book and or adaptation? My favorite Neil Gaiman book is The Ocean at the End of the Lane, and that book is just life-changing in my opinion. That book was something else. As for adaptation, I think Neil Gaiman is just a very difficult author to adapt because He is so unique, and the style that he writes in is so unique that it just doesn't fully come through when it comes to adapting it to screen. I do enjoy adaptations of his work just because I love his stories. I would say Stardust is probably my favorite, actually, but I'm yet to see someone nail Neil Gaiman on screen. That sounded weird. You know what I mean. Thoughts on I'm Thinking of Ending Things trailer. I actually talked about this on Twitter a little bit. I think the trailer looks fantastic. I love the tone that they're going for. When I saw Charlie Kaufman was behind adapting I'm Thinking of Ending Things, I got so excited for that because I knew he was the right person for the job, and seeing the trailer, absolutely 100% cannot wait for that movie. That being said, I do think the trailer is a little bit spoilery. I was thinking that maybe I think it's spoilery because I know the context and I know the full story. So maybe if you're not familiar with the story, it doesn't seem as spoilery. But to me, I immediately had concerns about that because they did show a lot from the second half of the book, and the book isn't even that long. So I wish they showed a little less. But yes, I do think it looks very, very good. Favorite nonfiction book? Let me think about this. Okay, come on, Goodreads, can you load? Okay, I'm scrolling through my Goodreads shelf of nonfiction that I've read, and it's definitely Jon Krakauer's Into Thin Air. It is a book that I did not expect to love as much as I did, and it opened me up to perspectives that I've never considered. It's all about mountain climbing. If you've seen that movie that came out a few years ago, Everest, I'm sure you've heard of it. That is what the book is about, except the book is kind of a masterpiece. What's your favorite Stanley Kubrick movie? Now that is definitely The Shining. As I said, I haven't watched every single Stanley Kubrick film out there. I should probably get on that because they all seem very interesting. But from what I've seen, even though I'm a huge sci-fi fan and 2001 is a huge deal, I have to go with The Shining. Speaking of 2001, what's your opinion on 2001: A Space Odyssey, and can you make a video about it? I kind of don't see a point in me making videos about things that have been talked about because I don't feel like I have enough new information to add to the discussion. If I ever think of something groundbreaking to say about 2001 that hasn't been said already, I will absolutely make a video about that. But at this point, I just don't have a reason to do that because there are so many amazing breakdowns and discussions and examinations of that film that I just don't think my opinion there is necessary. But yes, it is a masterpiece. Have you watched The Old Guard yet? I had a few people recommend this to me. I have. And I didn't finish it. And that tells you a lot because I rarely not finish movies. The movies are not that long. I can finish them, but I just could not care less about that film. So sorry, I wasn't a big fan because couldn't even get to the end of that. I was so bored. Hello for France. Bonjour. I've seen you watching French genre movies. Do you have a favorite one? Specifically genre movies, that is tough. I would probably have to go with Raw because if there's ever a genre film, it's going to be one about cannibalism, right? However, there are so many fantastic French classics and even just modern French dramas that this is a tough one to pick from. But yeah, if we're talking specifically genre, think it's going to be Raw. Do you have any movies that you used to love, but now you're like, what was I thinking? Yes, don't we all have those? The first one that comes to mind, and you guys cannot hold this one against me because I have realized the error of my ways. So no, I don't love this movie anymore. But once again, don't hold this against me. I used to be a huge fan of Pearl Harbor. Yeah. Also, Armageddon. Maybe I just like Ben Affleck movies. But obviously, rewatching Pearl Harbor and rewatching Armageddon a few years ago made me realize that I did not know what I was thinking loving these films. But you know, when you're young and you're a teenager and you're just starting off your cinema experience and you stumble upon these two, they seem like a lot of fun until you realize everything that's wrong with them. There have to be more though, because there were so many movies in 80s and 90s and early 2000s that I've seen and I've enjoyed, and I'm sure some of them are not that great anymore. I have this fear of watching my old favorites because I feel like I'm going to see them and I'm going to think, wow, I like that movie. You know what? I remember another one. I used to be a huge fan of Resident Evil at one point. Once again, don't know what I was thinking. By the way, I apologize. The lighting has changed dramatically because it got really dark outside. It's about to storm like crazy. So I should probably start wrapping up this video before it gets ridiculously loud in here since I'm sitting in front of a huge window. All right, last couple of questions. Favorite character and storyline in Dark? As we all know, I'm a huge fan of Dark. If you guys haven't seen that video, you should check it out. Favorite character and storyline. Favorite character is actually pretty easy because my favorite character is Claudia. She is amazing. And I did not think she was going to be my favorite character during season 1, but then the way they developed her, I love her character. She's definitely the best. As far as storyline goes though, that is hard because so many amazing character arcs in Dark. It's just making a top 5 would be difficult. And Claudia is definitely at the top with that for me, but I just don't think you can beat Jonas. Jonas's storyline is absolutely nuts, and I love where it ended up. Yeah, I'm sticking with that. Favorite character, Claudia. Favorite storyline, Jonas. Why is Arrival your favorite Villeneuve movie? Well, I do have a review on Arrival, which is my initial thoughts, my initial gushing when I saw that film, and it changed my life. However, we will be talking about Arrival again very soon, and probably pretty much all of his other movies, because we all know who my favorite director is, right? So something to look forward to. All right, guys, that is it for this Q&A. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope I answered your question. And once again, if I didn't, I'm sorry, nothing personal. Look through my older Q&As. And if your question is still not answered, then I just ran out of time and it's about to, get crazy outside. So I need to wrap this up. But thank you so much for asking all of your questions. This was a lot of fun for me. I hope it was fun for you. And if you do want to participate in my future Q&As, which you guys seem to enjoy them, so I will be doing more, make sure you're following me on Instagram because that is where I ask for questions. It's just so much easier there to have all the questions in one place and have a list of all of them. It's easy to deal with. So that's why I use Instagram for that. Follow me there as well as on my other social media if you would like. If you want to know what I'm watching, follow me on Letterboxd. If you want to know what I'm reading, follow me on Goodreads. All of my social media is linked in the info box below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Once again, as always, thank you to everyone who made it to the end of this video. A special thank you to all of my patrons for supporting me, and an extra special thank you to the patrons whose names are on the screen right now. You guys are awesome, and I am so grateful to have every single one of you. If you guys enjoyed this video, which I really hope you did, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up, share it, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, follow me on social media. As I mentioned, everything is linked in the info box below, and I hope you're having a wonderful day. Stay safe, stay sane, and I will see you very soon in my next video. Bye.